Hello friends, today we'll be discussing about the cranial cavity, that is the dura mater of the cranial cavity. Now this dura mater it's usually divided into two layers, that is the outer meningeal and the inner endosteal. Now the first thing, this dura mater will be present in the two layers of the brain, that is two layers in the cranial cavity, that is the in the brain and the spinal cord. First thing, it is usually present in the brain, and second thing, it is present in the spinal cord. Okay, the dura which is present in the spinal cord, this will be of only one layer, but the dura which is present in the brain, so this will be covered by two layers. Now these two layers are usually the inner meningeal layer, which is also called as the dura proper, outer endosteal layer, which is nearly closest to the bones. Now these two layers, they are usually completely fused to each other except at only certain points. Now these certain points are usually called as the dural venous sinuses. Now suppose this is the outer layer, that is the outer endosteal layer, and the inner layer, inner meningeal layer. At certain points on the meningeal layer, it's going to form certain invagination into the cranial cavity, where at this point it's going to lodge a different part of the brain. Now the space which is created here is called as the dural sacs or the dural sinuses. So this sinus is going to communicate with the inner part of the cranial cavity. Now let us study about the outer part, that is the outer endosteal layer. This outer endosteal layer, it is really the periosteum lining the inner surface of the skull bone and is commonly referred to as the pericranium. Now we know that our scalp is usually composed of the 5 layers, that is the skin, connective tissue, epicranial aponeurosis, loose connective tissue, and the pericranium. Now this pericranium is covered by vault of skull bone, which is called as the periosteum. Now this periosteum, it has two layers, that is the outer layer of the periosteum and the inner layer of the periosteum. Now if you come about this diagram, that is the outer layer of the periosteum and the inner layer of the periosteum. Now in these features, it is continuous with the periosteum or the pericranium on the outer surface of the skull through the sutures and foramen of the skull. Now this is the outer layer of the periosteum and this is the inner layer of the periosteum. Now this inner layer of the periosteum is also called as the endosteal layer or the endocranium. This outer layer of the periosteum and the inner layer of the periosteum, they are going to communicate with each other with the help of the sutures. So these are the sutures and these are the foramens. With help of the sutures and the foramen, outer layer of the periosteum and the inner layer of the periosteum, they are going to communicate with each other. Now inner layer of the periosteum is also called as the endosteal layer or endosteal layer, whereas the outer layer of the periosteum is also called as the fifth layer of the scalp. It constitutes the fifth layer of the scalp. Okay. Inner layer of the periosteum is also called as the endosteal layer, outer endosteal layer of the dura, and is also called as the endocranium. So here it says that it is also continuous with the periosteum or the pericranium on the outer surface of the skull through the sutures and the foramen of the skull. So outer layer of the periosteum is connected with the inner layer of the periosteum through the sutures and the foramen. It is also continuous with the periorbita or the periosteal lining of the orbit through the superior orbital fissure. So this outer layer of the endosteal layer, it is going to communicate with the periorbita through the superior orbital fissure. Now the next thing, it provides sheath for the cranial nerves with which fuses with the epineurium. Suppose this is the inner layer, that is the epineurium, which forms the outer covering of the neuron. So what endosteal layer is going to do is that this outer endosteal layer is going to cover, it's going to form a sheath around the epineurium. Now this sheath is going to provide the outer covering for the cranial nerves. So these are the this space is going to left out for the cranial nerves. Now the cranial nerves are present in between the two layers, that is the outer sheath and the inner epineurium. Now later this sheath is going to come in contact with the epineurium and is going to merge with the epineurium. Then the dural sheath around the optic nerve fibers with the sclera of the eyeball. Suppose this is the eyeball, that is the posterior aspect of the eyeball. Now outer covering of the optic nerve that is the endosteal, is going to merge with the sclera of the eyeball. Suppose this is the optic nerve. Now this optic nerve on the outer surface, which is covered by outer endosteal layer, is now this endosteal layer is going to come in contact and is going to merge with the sclera of the eyeball at the posterior part. So these are the features of the outer endosteal layer. Now this outer layer, that is the endosteal layer, it is loosely attached to the inner surface of the vault of the skull with numerous fibers and the vascular processes. Therefore it is attached to base of the skull along sutures and around margins of the foramen magnum. Now outer endosteal layer, it has two surfaces, that is the base of the bone or the base of the skull and over the roof. Now this roof is also called as the vault of the skull. Now this roof is usually thin, and this is not covered by any sort of the bone and all, whereas in case of the base, this base is usually attached to the margins of the foramen magnum. So why this base is not, this base, if you are going to strip it off, it can't be stripped, it can't be teared off, whereas in case of the roof and the vault, this can be easily stripped off or it can be easily teared off. As a result of it, it is easily stripped off from the vault of the skull but not from the base of the skull. So if you are going to apply pressure and if you are going to pull it off, the roof can be easily teared off, roof can be pierced off. Whereas in the case of the base, this base is usually strong and held in position, and this is going to get firmly attached to the base with the help of sutures and around the margins of the foramen magnum. As a result of it, it is easily stripped off from the vault of the skull but not from the base of the skull. And again, this roof is usually covered by meningeal vessels. So many meningeal vessels are present over the roof. So these are going to pass through the layers to supply the bone. Now, if you come to know about the meningeal layer, this meningeal is also called as the dura mater proper. It encloses the brain at the foramen magna and becomes continuous with the dura mater surrounding the spinal cord. Suppose we have the brain here, and here we have the brain stem, and below it we have the spinal cord. Okay. Now, what the thing which is going to matter over here is that the outer endosteal layer, it is going to cover only up to this much part, that is the of the foramen magma. Outer endosteal is going to cover only up to the margins of the foramen magma, but whereas in case of the meningeal layer, so this meningeal layer is going to cover whole, that is the brainstem and the spinal cord. Okay, so this is the meningeal layer, whereas here this is the endosteal layer. Endosteal layer is going to cover only up to the brainstem and the margins of the foramen magma, whereas in the case of the meningeal layer, this meningeal layer is going to cover three parts, that is the brainstem and the spinal cord. Now this inner meningeal layer, it is separated from the arachnoid matter by the subdural space. This subdural space, it is the space which is present between the dura and the arachnoid matter. Okay. At places, meningeal layer is folded upon itself to form the dural sacs or the dural folds. The dural fold project into the cranial cavity and divide into compartments which lodge different parts of the brain. Now suppose this is the inner meningeal layer, and here this is the outer endosteal layer. Now this inner meningeal is going to fold upon itself to form a septas or to form dural folds. So this is the dural fold, and this is the dural vena sinuosus. This dural fold project into the cranial cavity. Again, these dural folds are going to go inside the cranial cavity and again it divides into compartments which lodge different parts of the brain. It has its compartments where it's going to contain different parts of the brain. Now this dorsal fold, it has four folds. They are usually falx cerebri, tentorium cerebelli, falx cerebelli and diaphragma cerebelli. Now these four folds or the septa we are going to discuss in the next lecture, upcoming lecture. Thank you.